Hello and welcome to another Loadstone video. In this video I'm going to go over the updates that are going to be released in the upcoming Loadstone 1.4, which I'm hoping to release either before Christmas or shortly after. I'm still waiting on some translations and things. So
Before.
Okay, that is Kristy, of course, behind the camera, keeping things in focus, we hope. And if not, I'll never know. Yeah, so I'm going to go over the new features that are going to be upcoming, and then I'll give you an explanation of the big one, the turn-by-turn navigation. So, what's new in 1.4? Well, there's some little things. Obviously, there were some bugs in 1.3, especially to do with some routing and database selection, and they've been cleaned up and fixed. And another feature that was really requested for some reason a lot was when you're saving a point, you'll now have the ability to either set it as a checkpoint or the locked point. I was surprised at how many people seem to want this ability. So that has been added in. And then also, if a point has a phone number, you can call that phone number. Or if it has an email address associated to it, you can send an email right from the actions menu for the point. And the same thing if it has a website. And in the point details screen, if a field looks like a URL, so if there's a YouTube URL or like a Twitter or Facebook, you can open that in Safari. And of course, my iPhone is about to fall asleep.
Show next report.
And yeah, various other bug fixes and enhancements and things. But the big feature that everyone has been asking for pretty much since day one is turn-by-turn navigation. And that is now in. So that is a big one.
Good job, Sean.
Thanks. I wrote it myself. Oh wait, I did. Well, sort of. Actually, what we're doing is using external services for turn-by-turn navigation. So yes, for that one, you will require an internet connection to at least do the route planning phase of turn-by-turn navigation, because those are handled by external services. So I will go over that now. You access the turn-by-turn navigation feature from the main navigation screen. So all the normal functions are there that you're used to. The
show next checkpoint.
So show next checkpoint.
Button. Show next route point.
Show next route point.
Button.
And now we have
turn-by-turn navigation. Button.
Turn-by-turn navigation. So I'll go into here.
Navigation. Back button.
So I'll go over the screen first, and then I'll explain it and give you a little demo of how this works.
Turn-by-turn navigation. Heading. Plan route. Heading.
So there's a plan route heading.
Origin. Text field.
So in Origin, this is where you can type in either where you are, so you could type in an address or, whatever, like you would on a normal route planning application, or below.
Use current location. Double tap to toggle.
So that's a button. You can use the your current location, which is, so that's sometimes a lot easier than typing in where you happen to be.
Destination. Text field.
The destination
double tap to edit.
is the same way.
Use current location.
And
double tap to toggle.
That is the same way. So if you're somewhere and you want to go get to your current location, or you want to go from, basically a reverse route.
Route type, any.
Route type.
Double tap to activate the picker.
And that lets you set the type of route. So there are various routes. I'll demonstrate that in a bit. But there are various routes like walking and driving and cycling types of routes depending on the provider.
Search for points. Dimmed. Button.
Okay.
Route source. All.
So search for points is what you would activate that button when you filled in the other fields up above. And below are some options that you can change but aren't changed as often.
Route source. All.
Route sources.
Double tap to activate the picker.
So there are a couple of route sources that we have here. The first is mapbox.org, which is a free service that provides basically turn-by-turn navigation instructions. And it does quite well. It bases its data from the OpenStreetMap data, and it seems to plan pretty good routes from what I can tell. And it also allows us to do 50,000 free queries per month. So as long as the Loadstone users keep the route planning to a dull roar, we won't exceed that limit. But if we do, then as a backup, there's also Apple. It has a route planning service as well. But it has some sort of limits as well, but it doesn't really say what they are. I guess if your app is going crazy doing too many route plans, it starts to throttle back or just not answer requests after a bit. So that's why you can either select all, means it'll get routes from both sources, or you can select.
Select point sources. Heading.
Okay, and the point sources.
Selected. Mapbox.
So map box, again, this is for looking up when you type in your source and destination points. You can look them up on map box or
Selected. Apple.
or on Apple, because these two services may or may not have different points in their databases.
Databases.
And databases, of course, which by default isn't selected because point searches on databases can be a tad slow. But if there's something very specific to your databases that you need to look up, you can select it.
Selected. Navigation. Tab.
Okay, and that's that screen. So
Navigation.
let's plan a route.
Turn-by-turn navigation. Plan route. Heading.
Okay, so
Origin. Text
so
field.
the origin, let's say we're going to
Double
go
tap to
from
edit.
here. Right now I'm at Kristy's place and I'm going to plan a route back to my address from Kristy. So I'm going
Use
to
current location. Double selected. Use current location.
Okay, so I'm going to use current location, which will grab the current GPS coordinates
Destination. Text
and
field.
the destination,
Destination. Text field.
which
Double tap to edit. Quick nav off.
Okay.
Destination. Text field.
and
is
for
editing.
ease of
Insertion
use,
point at
I'm going
start.
to use a Bluetooth keyboard for this particular demo so I can do it quicker. So
6 5 1 8 space M A R L B O O O R O U G H space A V E.
okay,
Destination 6518 Marlborough Avenue. Text field.
that's my address. I'm not going to give out the apartment number on the video, so you can't really just pop in and visit.
Route type. Any.
Okay, the route type.
Double tap to activate the picker.
Okay,
Quick nav on.
so here's the picker. If I
Route type.
activate,
Any. Search for points. Any. Picker item. Adjustable.
so we can
5
go
of 7. Any. Cycling.
cycling, which I guess it gives you routes more specific to cycling. Now, some of the providers don't have all of the route types. Like I think the Mapbox will do cycling routes, but I don't think Apple does, so it'll default to walking route at that point.
Driving avoiding traffic.
Same thing with driving avoiding traffic. Mapbox.org has that, but the Apple one doesn't, so it'll fall back to driving routes.
Driving.
Driving,
Walking.
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 Okay, so
Driving. Driving avoiding. Driving.
let's pick a driving route because, well,
Driving.
I
Picker
wouldn't
item.
really want to.
Adjustable.
I really
5 of
wouldn't want
7.
to walk that far.
Search for points. Button.
And search for points. So we won't adjust.
Route source. All.
Okay, so we can have.
Search for points. Button.
So right here, we'll just do a point search because I don't want to adjust the other options.
Turn-by-turn navigation. 511 Ash Street, New Westminster.
Okay,
Actions available. 2 origin results. Heading.
okay. So
Done.
now
Did.
we're in the
Button.
the results screen. So the origin
2
results.
origin results. Heading.
So that's where you're coming from.
511 Ash Street, New Westminster.
That's
435 Ash Street.
okay. Those are pretty close, actually. So
511 Ash Street, New West. Selected.
let's pick that
The
one.
Avenue. 4 destination results. Heading.
And then it'll automatically move you down to the destination results. So
The Avenue. 6518 Marlborough. The Avenue.
the avenue. Okay, I don't understand what that result was. That's a weird result coming from somewhere.
6518 Marlborough Avenue. 6518 Marlborough Avenue.
Yeah.
Marlborough.
Now, sometimes that might come, you might get a duplicate result. If they're coming from Apple and Mapbox, sometimes they bring back the same results with maybe slightly different coordinates.
6518 Marlborough
On
Avenue.
one of these result points, you have a few options available. Like if you're not really sure what this point is, there are options for you.
Show neighborhood.
So you can show
details.
show details.
Activate. Default.
Okay. So those are what you can do. So if you're not sure about that point, you can look around it or show its details. So let's select that.
Selected. Done. Button.
And then VoiceOver will automatically move up to the done, which is on the top right of the screen, and which will start the route calculations.
Search results. Driving, 12th Street, Kingsway travel time, 13 minutes 41 seconds, distance, 6.17 kilometers.
So that's one route that is planned.
5 routes. Heading. Select route. Heading.
So we're now into the select route screen. So
5 routes. Heading.
5 routes. So what you notice there, at first VoiceOver gets put on the first route result.
Driving, 12th Street, Kingsway travel time, 13 minutes 41 seconds, distance, 6.17 kilometers.
So it says where it's going, the primary route, how long it will take, and the distance.
Driving, Kingsway travel time, 16 minutes 2 seconds, distance, 6.17 kilometers.
Okay.
Driving, Edmund Street travel time, 15 minutes 50 seconds, distance, 6.43 kilometers. Driving, Imperial Street travel time, 14 minutes 15 seconds,
interesting.
distance, 6.69 kilometers. Driving, 8th Street, Canada Way travel time, 14 minutes 23 seconds, distance, 7.40 kilometers.
Okay. So As you can see, there's a few different routes that go along for this particular that we can pick from. So,
5 routes.
if you pick a route
12th
here,
Street. Select route. Back button.
so
Route details.
route details.
Heading.
So we can now see what the actual details of this route are.
Save button.
So there's a save button.
12th Street, Kingsway. Heading. Estimated travel time 13 minutes 41 seconds.
So estimated travel time
Distance 6.17 kilometers.
and the distance.
511 Ash Street. Steps. Heading. Source. Mapbox.
Source Mapbox, so you can tell if it comes from Mapbox or Apple. So if you find that one source or the other is giving particularly good routes, and in some countries the results may vary, so you might have a preference.
Steps. Heading.
And here's the steps. So
511 Ash Street, New Westminster. Head southeast on Ash Street. Drive 21 meters.
okay,
Ash Street and 5th Avenue. Turn right onto 5th Avenue. Drive 724 meters. 5th Avenue and 12th Street. Turn right onto 12th Street. Drive 5.29 kilometers. Kingsway and Marlborough Avenue. Turn left onto Marlborough Avenue. Drive 52 meters.
so far this route sounds right. I picked this route because I actually know it, and this actually sounds quite good.
Point 4. Turn left. Drive 53 meters.
Okay, so there's a point 4. So what happens here is these route instructions are meant for mapping applications normally. Like you would have a visual map on a screen and it would plot this route. So it doesn't actually give us point names, it only gives back coordinates. So what Loadstone does is it tries to match those coordinates to intersections, and if that fails, then it'll try to match back to an address. But if that doesn't work, then you get a name, like so point 4, let's say, if that's the 4th step along the route. So if it doesn't know what else to call it, that's what it is. And that is probably a turn. If it's going where I think it's going into my building, that would be the little driveway beside the building that it's trying to turn down.
Point 5. Turn right. Drive 23 meters.
Yeah, these sound right. It's actually trying to guide you into the little parking lot behind the building. So the mapping source seems to know about that.
6518 Marlborough Avenue. You have arrived at your destination. On the right.
There, okay.
Selected. Navigation.
So that's the
Tab.
route.
1 of 4.
So let's save that
Route details.
because it sounds
Heading.
like a pretty,
Save.
it sounds like
Button.
a good route.
Cancel. Button.
So
Select route database. Heading.
select route database. So what we can do,
Add. Button.
we can either pick an existing database from here or add. So I'm going to add a new one here.
Text field. Quick nav off. Text field. Is editing. 511 Ash Street. New Westminster 6518 Marlborough Avenue. 12th Street. Kingsway. Insertion point and end.
So that is going to be the default name for this route, and that actually sounds pretty good to me.
4:26 p.m. Orientation. Location track. New route database. Heading. Text field. Is clear text. Clear text. Button.
So I'm going to just select a done here to save this.
Navigation. Heading.
There.
Actions. Button.
So now that route is available and is now active and ready for use now that I've saved it and it is now active. And the Mapbox source is actually quite interesting because what it will do is it will give the intersections between the main intersections of the route steps. So I'll demonstrate that now. I'll do
Show lock point.
Oh.
Show next checkpoint. Show next route point. Turn by turn. Show next route point. Show destination. Show origin. Restart route. Show route.
So I'm going to show the route.
Navigation. Back button. Route. Refresh. Back forward. Heading. 511 Ash Street. New Westminster. 0 meters at 1 o'clock. Head southeast on Ash Street.
So there's the comment for that.
Ash Street and 5th Avenue. 21 meters at 6 o'clock.
So
Turn right onto 5th
you
Avenue.
see that as a standard route.
8th Street and 5th Avenue. 109 meters at 9 o'clock.
See, that route was not that intersection was not included in the main route steps, but it is one intersection that you would cross. So if you're navigating a route, you know that you're still on track. You don't just come to a street and go, do I cross that? Am I off track? It'll have all these.
5th Avenue and 9th Street.
So 5th and 9th.
263 5th Avenue and 10th Street. 5th Avenue and Highway Street. 498 meters at 9 o'clock. 5th Avenue and Maple Street. 11th Street and 5th Avenue. 5th Avenue and Lowland Street.
So
5th Avenue
you
and
can
12th Street. 726
another
meters at 9
step.
o'clock. Turn right onto 12th Street.
see, there's another step there for the comments. So you see that it goes all the way along like that. So it's a standard route. So that is the turn-by-turn navigation feature, and you don't need the data plan. Once this route is active, you don't need the data connection anymore to follow that particular route.
That is pretty cool, I
Yes.
must say.
So this has been the feature that most people have been wanting. So you can enter, a destination address and plan a route.
And I must say, we were waiting, we put out a call for feedback about how this should be done, and
Yes.
Didn't get any.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry
so
from
far,
our testers.
Yes, unfortunately, this routing system I've tested it and it seems to work pretty well, I think. But unfortunately, I have not gotten any feedback from my testers, so in the 1.4 release, this may not be as well tested as it should be, which I find unfortunate, but I think it works quite well.
And as I said in the previous video, if anybody's watched it, Sean is a perfectionist, so he's tested this feature in every way possible that he knows. We've even tested it from the ferry.
Yes.
So we're on the water, and we said, okay, here's our land destination where we want to get to, and
Yes.
it actually, okay, that made us discover a bug.
It
And
actually did. So yes, there's
you
ways
smooth
of,
that out.
yeah, there's ways of testing all this. And one thing I should mention about planning routes is that if you plan a route for an area that you don't have any data loaded for, then the route can't name the points. You'll just get point 1, point 2, point 3, etc. Because obviously Loadstone has no way to know what those points are called. So it's best to plan routes for areas for which you have the data active at the moment.
So, for example, if you're thinking of visiting Ottawa and you want to do a route there,
Yeah.
download the Ottawa database before you plan your route.
Exactly. There you go. Oh, I'm teaching you various things about Loadstone. Yay! Yeah, Kristy is learning. I guess she has to write the docs, so she kind of has to know what she's doing.
And I'm the people person, so
Yeah.
I generally have to
Screen
deal
dip.
with the people.
And there you go. So that is the main new feature for Loadstone 1.4, and
It's
I think
super cool.
yeah, that's going to be a helpful one for a lot of people, I believe.
If you know a person who is blind,
There you
who
go.
doesn't get out much, there's no reason they can't.
No, they
And
can.
if they have their smartphone and they have reasonable mobility skills,
Yeah.
they can get out. They can plan routes. They can go explore even their neighborhood, a block or two, a 4-block radius. You don't have to go to another city. So don't let anything stop you,
Nope.
really. Make that your New Year's resolution. Go out and explore with Loadstone. We've got turn by turn now.
Exactly. Even though it would be too cold, or like today, it might be just a little too wet for anyone to wander around with an expensive iPhone in their hand. But, you know, when it's dry.
Hashtag first world problems.
Exactly. So, that is the turn-by-turn navigation feature in 1.4, which, as I said, is an upcoming release. It's not quite out yet, but I'm hoping either before Christmas or just after.
Before.
Well, we'll try, but I am waiting on translation, and Kristy, now that she has a video to follow, can write the documentation.
Silver
for
play,
turn-by-turn.
por favor, translations. I don't know any other
What?
translation.
Oh, you're trying to do
translations.
multilingual. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know if we have a French translation
we don't actually.
or a
no.
Spanish one.
No, so if anyone's interested in translating into languages that Loadstone is not currently in, drop me a message.
Exactly.
There's a thing on the Loadstone site where you can do that.
Loadstone website?
Loadstone website is www.loadstone-gps.com, and from there you can see all of our other links: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the GoFundMe campaign, all of the other videos and tutorials and documentation that you can view before purchasing the program if you're into that, or after you've purchased the program and are not sure what to do. Feel free to look around, and there's always something being updated on the site.
And even if you're sighted, so you don't need an app for blind pedestrians, please donate.
Yeah.
Support our cause. We're really
All the same.
hardworking, and we do produce a really good app. So.
Yes, and all the sighted people we meet always seem to have that one visually impaired relative. So
Mhm.
for that relative, either you could buy them Loadstone or just donate to the project.
Even the police officer who investigated the theft at my apartment in October had a blind brother.
Exactly. So there's always somebody. And, you know, the more people that we can get out in the world independent, the better.
Yes.
And that's what Loadstone's goal is.
Let's change this perception of blind people needing other people to help them get around.
Exactly.
Please. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Happy New Year, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.